the pupil scaffold, where it all began. So it's a routine case, and I was operating, and I asked the sister to give me tropicamide as the pupil was coming down. She gave it to me, I injected it, and instead of the pupil dilating, I see that the pupil is constricting. Here I have a toric lens to implant, and the pupil has come down because my OT sister, who's 25 years old and never made a mistake like this, gave me pilocarpine instead of tropicamide. She was extremely apologetic, but now I was stuck. So I said, how do I expand this pupil? Let's try putting tropicamide. And I just put tropicamide and waited, and just like magic, in spite or despite having put pilocarpine, see how beautifully the pupil dilated. Just wow, and a sigh of relief. And with that, I could go ahead and complete that case where the pupil had come down because of pilocarpine. Now this gave me a brilliant idea. You can see how beautifully it's dilated. The toric lens is also aligned nicely. So this gave me an idea that if ever we have a rent, if we have nuclear fragments left, here there are fewer, but one could have more. So in such a case, oh, there's a punched out hole there in the posterior capsule. So if we have more pieces left, what if we could constrict the pupil such that these pieces don't fall back into the vitreous cavity and let the iris itself uphold them. So I try to remove one big chunk, and then I'm seeing that if I try any further, the oval shaped opening will enlarge still further. So I do a visco fluid exchange, and now I am bringing the pieces above the iris. If I go any further and try to remove these pieces, there is a chance of the rent enlarging and the pieces falling into the vitreous cavity. So instead I put pilocarpine, constrict the pupil, and as you see, the pupil has come down. Now it supports these quadrants well. Also the pupil coming down, one can see the peaking very well if there is any. And now I go ahead and emulsify the quadrants. Now here there were only 2 quadrants left, but one could have had more quadrants, and one could safely emulsify them above the scaffold. Now once again I have a whole lot of cortex to remove. So I put tropicamide, I wait, keeping the bottle height low, and voila, one can see the pupil opening up once again. The rent has not expanded, it has stayed within its limits. I go ahead, keeping the bottle height low, with irrigation aspiration, try to remove as much cortex. However, when I feel that it may pull some vitreous, I go with the vitrectomy cutter in the IA cut mode. So this is irrigation aspiration happening, and once you pull it towards the center, use the cut mode, go from another direction and make sure that all the cortex is out. Using tropicamide, I am able to visualize the anterior capsular edge well, and don't just push the lens in, support it so that it doesn't jerk and doesn't tear the anterior capsular excess margin. And I am able to visualize that it's in the bag. Lens is quite stable. You can see the anterior capsular margin above the lens, and I have put Pilo once again now to constrict the pupil. Pilo was used twice in this case, left a little air behind for tamponade, and at the end of it, it was miraculous, almost like the feet of God. Thank you.